Found out my 33 male wife, 32 female, has been sleeping with our mutual friend, 60s male. I can't believe this is something I'm going through right now. My wife and I have been married for just over 2 years, and I thought things were going well between us. Now, everything is gone. My relationship, my stability, and any sense of trust I had. I feel like I'm walking through a nightmare I can't wake up from. I only found out 2 days ago, and the pain is still so unbearable. I never knew a heart could hurt this much. I just want my life back. I want to rewind to a time before I knew this was happening and pretend things are normal again, even if that sounds destructive. The way I found out was insane. She butt dialed me on her day off, and I heard a man's voice in the background. It was our mutual friend, who's in his 60s. She never mentioned he was over when I got home. Something about it didn't sit right with me, so I started looking into things. When I saw the texts they sent to each other, explicit, disgusting sexts, I felt physically sick. I couldn't believe the woman I loved and trusted was doing this with someone we both knew. I didn't know what else to do, so I called my parents and brother, sobbing uncontrollably. I told them everything. I've never cried like that in my life, not even as a kid. The shock and betrayal just shattered me. After I calmed down, I confronted her. I wasn't aggressive or mean, but I told her exactly how much she hurt me, how she destroyed everything I thought we had, how deeply betrayed I felt, and how much this has ruined my life. She spent the entire night crying, and I sent her out of the room because I couldn't deal with it. At the end of the night, I knew I couldn't stay in that house. I packed a small bag and called my brother. He drove hours to pick me up. Now I'm at my parents' house, trying to figure out what's next. I feel like horse shit. I know it sounds foolish, but part of me wishes I'd never looked at her phone. At least then I could have had a little more time living in blissful ignorance before everything fell apart. Now I feel broken, lost, and completely unsure of how to move forward. I haven't seen a lawyer yet, but divorce is the only option. I just can't see how to come back from this. All I know is I need time to gather my thoughts, heal, and figure out how to rebuild my life from the ground up. Update. So, after spending a few days at my parents' place and thinking things through, I decided to move back into my house. Why should I be the one to leave? I put so much into building that home and life. Why should I give it up? When I told my wife she would be the one to move out, she wasn't happy, to say the least. She started saying some truly ugly things. She threw in my face how amazing AP was in bed, despite being twice my age, and how I don't compare to him. It was cruel and meant to goad me into an argument, but at this point, I'm numb. I've also been doing some reading, and I know it's imperative for me to not lose my head, considering how she can easily report me for domestic violence. Despite me telling her to leave, she's still here. I'm not surprised. I didn't expect her to make this easy, and I guess part of me isn't ready for the finality of it all either. But this can't go on. I'm seeing a lawyer tomorrow to figure out how to proceed. Divorce is inevitable, and I want to make sure everything's set in motion to move on with my life without her dragging me down any further. Final update. I served my soon-to-be ex the divorce papers a few days ago. I set them up on the table before leaving for work, and when I came back, she was in pieces, crying nonstop. She hasn't stopped since. Her parents called me not long after, and they're furious with her. They told me they're embarrassed and ashamed by what she's done. Now I hear her fighting with them on the phone every few hours' time. Every conversation they have seems to end with her in tears. I also decided to tell AP's wife about the affair. She was disgusted when she found out. They have 2 kids who are older than me and my wife, which just makes the whole thing even more icky. From what she told me, it sounds like she's leaving him too. Beyond that, I do not know what's happening with AP. As for my soon-to-be ex-wife, things aren't looking good. She hasn't gone to work since I gave her the divorce papers. She stays home, crying or moping around, and it feels like she's only now realizing how badly she's messed up her life. Every time I come back from work, she's in there crying or screaming at her parents. Today, she asked to talk when I got home. She said she's been reflecting and claims she's starting to work on herself. She booked a therapist and said she's committed to figuring out her issues, including sorting out her relationship with AP, and is considering going no contact with him. She begged me to give her time to make sense of everything before rushing to finalize the divorce. She told me she thinks it's pointless to throw our marriage away for an affair, and she said we could rebuild it if I just give her a chance. I've heard all these promises before. Apologies, tears, and vows to do better. It's just too little too late. The damage has been done. I can't unhear the things she said about how AP was better in bed and how I didn't compare. I can't erase the betrayal, the lies, or the fact that she let this man into our life, knowing what it would do to me. At this point, I think she's just scrambling, trying to salvage whatever she can. This marriage is broken, and it's not something fixable. Right now, I'm staying focused on what's next. I've made up my mind, and even though it's hard, I'm ready to let go. I'll see the divorce through. It's time for me to find peace and move on. Story 2. I'm getting even. I don't care. After 9 long years, she decided she was done with me. I didn't matter. The marriage didn't matter. The vows didn't matter. If anything, it was all just another obstacle for her to sneak around. An inconvenience. She was living like she was single and wanted to leave me until I found out what she really was and tried to leave her. She told me to just cheat on her too. I said I didn't want to, and it wouldn't be the same. She had done something to deserve it. I hadn't. It wouldn't have really made things even. I told her it was done, and thanks for nothing. I knew I couldn't really leave her, but I kept the charade going as long as I could. Maybe as punishment, or maybe to try to convince myself I still had principles and dignity. Probably both. Eventually, things started to go back to normal, but I told her I was going to take her up on an offer to let me cheat. I didn't actually intend on doing it. Making her think it might happen was just more punishment. I could tell she regretted making the offer once she realized I might actually do it. But what could she do? Now that we've more or less picked our lives back up from where we left off, it just feels like she's getting away with it. At first, we were both heartbroken. Me because of the affair, and her because she thought I was ending the relationship. Now it's just me. I've had to find out that I'm married to a woman who's capable of throwing all of my best interests aside. I'm ashamed for not standing up for myself. I'm embarrassed to be around my friends and family and the people who know what behavior I'm accepting from her. The life I've worked so hard to put together for us just feels like a joke. Meanwhile, she, the cheater, still gets to have a loyal spouse and keep the life she didn't give a shit about less than a year ago. Well, not for long. I've got a promising lead with another betrayed spouse. Whether or not that particular opportunity comes to fruition, I'm gonna keep going. I might never stop. I don't give a shit if I become the bad guy or take it further than she did. She killed the innocence that our relationship had. I'm not going to try to preserve something that no longer exists or maintain the honor that she shat all over without a second thought. The contract is broken. Maybe I'll regret it, but I'll be finding that out the hard way. Fuck her. Edit. A big part of why I let her come back is because I didn't want to be alone indefinitely. Right now, I do feel pretty strongly that I want the marriage to work, but it's possible that showing myself that she's not the only person in the world who can keep me from being lonely will give me the balls to move on. I'm sick of just being a victim. Honestly, one of the things that bothers me the most about it is that it reminds me that I've never been good at meeting people and hooking up. I'm quiet and shy and awkward most of the time. I might compare how I feel to the feelings of a 30-year-old virgin who has a roommate that brings home a different girl every night. She didn't cheat on me nearly that much, but I think it still gives me similar feelings of inadequacy or misfittedness. I want to show myself that I can do it too. I'm in therapy and it's been helping. I've been suffering less and less as time goes on. Making the decision to go through with this has made me feel better than ever. It probably won't help as much as I'm hoping, but right now I feel like I finally have a way out. It feels like this is coming from the logical side of my brain rather than the emotional side. I hear the pain in your words, man, and I get why you feel like this. It's brutal to realize the person you gave your all to could treat your love and loyalty like it was nothing. And I get why you're thinking about getting even. It's hard to sit with the unfairness of it all, watching her move on while you're left with the fallout, feeling like a fool. But here's the thing. Going down that path might feel like the right thing in the moment, but it's not going to heal you. I know it feels like the only way to take back power, to make things even, but it's not going to undo the damage she caused. It won't make her understand your pain the way you want her to. If anything, it might just leave you feeling emptier than before, like you've lost even more of yourself in the process. Your anger is justified, and so is your need to reclaim your dignity, but don't let her betrayal be what defines you. If she shattered the contract, that's on her. You have every right to walk away, to rebuild your life on your terms. You owe it to yourself to heal. Not for her, not to get even, but for you. It's okay to be furious. It's okay to want revenge. But you deserve a life where you feel proud of who you are, where you're not tied down by the same pain she inflicted on you. Whether you leave or stay, do it with a clear head. Don't let her drag you down further into a place you can't come back from. You're worth more than that, man.